Hey guys, Zomfox here, and today we are going to be doing the USFL Week 7 review. This week actually had a couple of really big things happen. From playoffs to overtime, this week had a lot that actually happened. So, as for just a quick overview, the Generals beat the Bandits 20-13, the Breakers beat the Panthers 31-27, Stallions won 26-16, and the Stars won 35-24 against the Gamblers. So the main takeaways are in the Generals Bandits game. The simple fact the Generals have now clinched the playoffs. And aside from that, the Generals clinched the playoffs thanks to the Bandits losing once again on the end of the game. They were not able to score on their final drive. The Generals were able to hold them, and that ended the game. So, yeah, sucks for them, but it's what it is. Then the next game was the Breakers and the Panthers. The Breakers actually ended up winning this game as this game went to overtime. This is the first overtime game of the USFL season. Now, what I kind of said happened ended up happening. Shea Patterson going to the Breakers helped the Breakers actually know what they were doing. And essentially the game came down to overtime. And the Panthers failed on both their attempts and on the first two attempts, whereas the Breakers made both their first two. And because of that, the game was over. So, yeah, you hate to see it for them, but that's just how it ended up happening. And then, as for the Stallions versus Maulers, the Stallions have clinched their ticket to the playoffs as well, as they ended up beating the Maulers 26-16. And it was overall, it was just a simple game. The Stallions pretty much won. They had the lead for, once the second half started, they got the lead, and they pretty much never let it go. They ended up beating a team that is on the bottom and is basically one mistake or one win from the Stars away from being out of the playoffs. The last game had the Stars and Gamblers. The Gamblers are now become the first team to be officially eliminated from the playoffs, and it happened again. The Gamblers, for literally the seventh time in a row, had the lead heading into halftime and ended up blowing it. This time by just getting completely crushed in the fourth quarter by getting 22 points dunked on them. Overall, this week was a pretty, decent week in terms of overall games. As for the standings have the Generals at 1, the Stars at 2 in the North as the two playoff teams, and then the Panthers and Maulers at 3 and 4. So the Generals have officially clinched. The Stars, basically, they are one win away from clinching. If they win, they'll be 5 and 5 at worst, and that's better than the Panthers and Maulers. So they just have to win and they're in. The Panthers would need to win out and have the Stars pretty much lose out. And the Maulers would have to win out and have the Stars and Panthers lose out. Or the Panthers lose one more game because the Panthers, as of now, do have the head-to-head advantage. Then, as for the South Division, the Stallions have already bought their ticket to Canton as they are 7-0 and, still undefeated, so pretty cool. The Breakers are 5-2, the Bandits are 3-4, and the Gamblers are 1-6. The Gamblers are eliminated. They physically can't get to 5 and 5, which is where the Breakers would be at worst, so they're eliminated. And as for the Breakers and Bandits, supposedly they have one more head-to-head against each other left. That game's going to be a major deal. That game is a one-game shift, which makes it to where essentially the Breakers just have to win like 2 games and they're fine. Or if they win 1 game and it's against Tampa, they're in as well. As to the Tampa, they pretty much just have to win out. That's really their only way they're going to make it. The Breakers, I don't think, are going to lose the last 3, but if the Breakers lose 1 and the Bandits win 2 and one of them is against New Orleans, I think they'll be able to get in. But that's overall how the playoffs are right now. This has been Zomfox. If you enjoy this content and want to be notified as soon as I upload any videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload. And as always, have a great night.